So just before we get started in the rest of the tutorials in class, I wanted to point out a couple of bugs which unfortunately just appeared at the end of last year when the release of Dreamweaver CC2018. The first has to do with creating divs such as headers and main or footer divs and giving them the correct type of rule that we need for styling them. If I click inside the body of a document like this, inside my main page, and I go to Insert, and I click on Insert a Header div, and I call it, say, Header, which is fine. In my example, I give it that name, and I just simply type in that name and click OK, you'll notice that it inserts the div, but unfortunately it doesn't give it a hashtag in front of it, making it an ID type of element. So when I go to style it, say I just have it selected and I go to the CSS Designer tab, as I do in my tutorials that you'll be watching, and you go to the selector to add it, you'll notice it says body header, and that is incorrect. That's a contextual type of rule, and I don't want to do that. So instead of doing that, the fix for this bug is frustratingly simple. I'm going to go in, I'm going to undo this div by simply doing Command Z. So I've removed that div, and this time around I'm going to go to Insert, Header. I'm going to once again simply call it Header, and the only thing I need to do to fix this bug is to simply click on this little down arrow here on the ID selector, and once I do that, you'll notice that it stops blinking inside the header ID field, and now I click OK, and sure enough, if you look down in the little ID area down here in the bottom, it says hashtag header instead of just header div. So with it selected and I go to CSS Designer, now when I click on selectors, you'll notice that it gives me the right name for this rule, header, and then all I do is simply hit enter. I go into add properties for this, and I'm going to give myself a little bit more room here, because the next rule follows on directly from that. If I uncheck the show set box and I go to the very first set of rules, which is layout for my div, and I click on width, and I click inside the width property, and I choose pixels, px for pixels, and I want to make this header 750 pixels wide, I simply click on, type in 750, but you'll notice as soon as I type in 750 to enter that in there, it types, it goes 77. It puts in 2 sevens instead of just entering the 7 for me. It's a silly little kind of minute bug, but you should be aware of it. So if I hit 750, now I can go on and style the rest of the div. And as far as I know, I haven't discovered any other major bugs in my exploration, but there may be others in here as we go along through class, so just be aware of them. But there is my header div. It's now called the header. It's 750 pixels wide. As you can see here, if I go and preview it, I'm going to click cancel and actually preview it in Safari and click save. Style sheet, you can see there is my header, and it's got the right 750, and it's centered in the middle of the page. Okay, so sorry about these problems. part of the release. I have put notes in the Adobe bug page, and hopefully they'll get these fixed before the end of our class. But they're there right now, and there is a simple workaround. So good luck.